Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today we are back at the concrete factory again because I want to check out the changes over here, see how the production line now works out. And I also want to use this video to talk about the recent update because clearly it was rushed out. There have been features that, while overall still an improvement for the game, and I'm happy that we got the new stuff, it feels so halfway done. And there is a good indication that this really was kinda rushed out because, well, there has been a Steam sale going on for the week and is still active for the weekend, focused around different types of transportation, different types of vehicles, and I mean, Motortown fits right in there and is actually part of the sale. Still going on for the weekend. You can get the game for 20% off or just try the demo for free if you want to. I think it's a good deal for the game, and also just trying to get more people into the game can hopefully help out the developer a bit, just making a bit more money and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to talk about the event features, talk about the logo and trailers, and also we are going to start out by just taking a bit of concrete to a construction site and then taking some fine sand back in order to see how it works now. Because yeah, it was changed a lot. Beforehand, we used to only deliver sand over here, get concrete out. It was all in a 1-to-1 ratio, and at the different construction sites, you would start off by getting regular sand to begin with, and later, once you bring concrete, you would actually get the slightly more expensive, slightly more rewarding fine sand instead. And yeah, now everything is kind of different. We now need limestone, we now need fuel, and that means that this very simple loop of going back and forth with a sand loaded dumpy to make concrete here, bring it back to a construction site with a mixie, always back and forth. That's just no longer possible. You can stock up on stuff over here and then do things as per usual for a while, but in the end you will always need to come back here and supply more limestone and fuel, especially limestone since you need that at the same ratio as sand. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how much I like this. Honestly, it's nice that this is now a bit more um, logical. It is a bit more involved, a bit more complex, but I also kind of like the old loop. And there isn't really much like the old loop in the game right now. There is theoretically containers that you should be bringing back and forth, but they are kind of different in their own right. So yeah, let's jump into the mixie, get some concrete delivered, get some fine sand, and then see what's what here. And in the meantime, I'll talk a bit about my opinion on the recent event feature. Let's see. I think I'm gonna try this one. So wait, come. Guys stopping first and then just hitting the gas, and yeah. Jesus. I've seen something about the AI possibly getting an improvement at intersections. That would be highly appreciated, but there are so many things they should be doing better. Anyways, when it comes to the events, I think we need to look at them in two separate ways. First up, let's talk about doing events, like really racing the tracks and all of that, and I think that's pretty good right now. I've seen some additional features and all of that that could be implemented that are on the Trello right now. Stuff like grids and some ways to repair during the races and refuel and all of that. I think having something like a pit lane that we could set up would be nice, but I don't really see the need for grids. We can line up pretty easily before the races, just needs a bit of communication and coordination. I mean, yeah, that's not always that easy, but the thing is, making grids in this game would be a pain to program. I mean, I don't really know much about the programming, but honestly, I know from GTA racing how hard it is to fit a grid somewhere, and making a universal tool that players then can use for themselves and all of that. And then let's fully ignore that I just tipped the mixie over. It's not going to be easy. I can't imagine that working out without a ton of work and possibly a lot of issues. So I think just letting the community handle that themselves before the races is fine. People usually do that almost automatically. And in some cases you maybe want a side-by-side start if your area is pretty wide and all of that. So I think it should work out just like that. Maybe some split times would be appreciated, but besides that, I think for the most part, and yeah, of course the whole pit lane thing, for the most part, apart from those few things, the racing right now is pretty good. And that's definitely the biggest improvement from this update. The track making, however, that's really where the cracks start to show, and I think we also need to be realistic with our expectations here. But I'll go through the things that I would like to see and then also talk about how realistic I think would be the implementation of those. So first up, I think for just making a quick route, the current way things are handled works out pretty well for the most part. The checkpoints adjust to the road, the width adjusts to the road, and yeah, it's kinda easy and quick to set up something. But a lot of people, especially in the TWL community, we want to have things more permanently. So we don't just set up a route and go, we make a track beforehand, put that into some sort of save file, we organize how we access things, and we want to use them in the long run multiple times again. And yeah, that really starts to show the cracks for the game right now, because there is no way to save the stuff in-game. We can export it as a text file, then also do some edits to the checkpoints there. And yeah, if we want to get it back into the game, we need to open the text file again, mark out everything, and then just import it from the clipboard. I mean, overall, that's a nice feature to have, but I think really for saving and loading, there should be a new folder in the save files for just the tracks, and then if we want to load up a track, we should also just get a list of everything and be able to choose from there. Having to always first up organize your own folder, having to have multiple save files as text, going back in there, marking them out, and or just marking everything, re-importing, it's very bare bones, and I would argue it shouldn't have launched like this if possible to avoid. Again, with the Steam sale and all of that, I think it's better to have it right now than not. But I think we should get those advanced save features at some point. Could also theoretically put it onto a workshop. I think that would be another decent way to organize all of this, but we'll have to see about that. But yeah, let's now quickly get into the whole loading thing here. I think we should have like 14 fine sand, because the annoying thing with sand dump, or this little weird thing is, it's kind of necessary, because you could otherwise run into a situation where you fill up all the, and I know on large servers like TWL that has been the case, you can fill up all the fine sand loading area here, you can fill up all the input over here, and if you then keep supplying regular sand to the concrete factory, you can completely lock up everything. You won't get any more deliveries to the different construction sites once they are all fully loaded up. And you won't be able to deplete anything here because, well, there is no demand at the concrete factory once that's all full. So there needed to be a way to drain this out so that it will never fully back up and can actually still accept more things. The problem is the Mixie and the Dumpy, which are the vehicles that this was all usually meant for, they all have 15 capacity. And getting a 1-to-1 ratio works out pretty well. You deliver 15 concrete, get 15 fine sand, back and forth, all is well, all is perfectly balanced and working out as it should. But now with this thing, you usually for 15 concrete you get between 13 and 14 fine sand, and that's just because this thing is always active and it will always siphon off something. And really I think this should only activate if everything else is full. Or just remove this entirely and just have another place that can take concrete. That's the location that gets the stuff out of the system if you want to, and that would be another way to never have this lock up again. But yeah, right now with how things work out, we can only take 14 fine sand, fill up the whole thing with 1 unit of regular sand, and that's what we have to do now. Anyways, where was I? We talked about just the save file issue. Another whole issue is with checkpoint editing. As I said, the default placement works out pretty well for just making a quick route. There is a lot of potential for issues when it comes to turning off at an intersection. For example, if I made a right-hand turn out of this one, and if I just place on the checkpoints normally, you would actually have to look at the map in order to make sure that you get the right turn, because it's very easy to miss the checkpoints. If you look at them from the side, they are almost invisible, and that's where editing the checkpoints after placing them comes into focus, and that's really, I mean, one thing is about making them more visible on these kind of turn-off points, and the other one is just adjusting the width so that they work out as well as they could. And yeah, adjusting the ones for the corners, it's just you need to usually move them, you need to rotate them, you need to adjust their width so that you can still cover the full space of the corner, or just have the right amount of restrictions so that people cannot fully shortcut, or whatever your goal is for that particular situation. It's just tough to do in text, partially because you don't directly see what happens. It's not like it just automatically updates in-game. You will actually need to re-import it, then go to the track, start it, and even get to the checkpoint to begin with. So it's a lengthy process, especially for fine adjustment. And even just knowing which direction to put which value, I mean, you can get used to it. I've definitely gotten faster after learning the ropes, but it's just very inconvenient, very tedious, and in my opinion, a good track maker should feature this in-game. That being said, now let's talk about realistic expectations. I mean, if I compare this to something like GTA, which of course has so much more so many more resources, so many more people working on it than this game. Yeah, over there it works out well. We have all that not all that we need. There are a few things that we actually needed advanced tools like modded menus and all of that to do, but overall, yeah, stuff there has been a standard for about 10 years now, or however long the whole track making thing has been in game there. So yeah, I think for a small team like this, while I would absolutely wish we got this in game, I get that it might be pretty tough to put in. But we need better tools in my opinion. And to be honest, I haven't touched track making since the last racing event last weekend. I had a bit of a rough week, but also just in general, I need to be in the right mood to really bother with this whole thing because I think it's about as much of a pain as driving a dumpy with its stupidly high center of mass here. To be clear, it's more painful. This thing is kind of annoying and I don't really use it all that much, but yeah, the whole tech making thing right now, it's just, it's something you have to get through. The result can definitely be worth the time you put into it, but especially when it gets to the finer adjustments, you're gonna be going back and forth countless times and that just, it gets annoying. So I don't know, I wish we had this in-game, I can see why that would be a pain to implement, but overall, the track making could be so much better. Another thing is the checkpoint restriction. The limit right now is 50, which in my opinion is way too low. If we want to mark out the different apexes, if we want to give a bit of guidance on where to go, we need a slightly higher limit. I mean, not just slightly. The thing is also the road density in this game isn't that high. Like you can spend kilometers without getting to another intersection unless you are in or near a city. And that means that there isn't even that much opportunity to make a short track. Most of them are going to be at least 2 minutes long, meaning you will have a lot of corners, you will have a lot of things that you need to take care of, and that means you kinda need more checkpoints. Unless you're really going a minimalist route, opening up a lot of potential shortcuts and also not being the best in terms of guidance. Also keep in mind that checkpoints update your progress through the tech, update your position in the race and all of that, and you want it to happen a few times per track. So there's another good reason to, while not spamming checkpoints, at least keep them somewhat frequent. But yeah, I think these are the kind of things that I would like to see more of, or just get implemented. Just having a higher limit should be possible. I mean, we've seen how it worked out before we fully fixed the 50 checkpoint limit. I have a track with over 100 and that worked out fine, given that I haven't tried it in multiplayer. But still, I don't know, 50 is low and ideally I would like to see them implement a limit based on actual, like, technical limitations, instead of just having what seems like an arbitrary number and we just have to deal with it. Definitely makes a few things more rough around the edges than it should be. Also another small point when it comes to the whole checkpoint editing. The track that I built in the quarry over here. I still need to widen up a few checkpoints here and there, but overall, every single one in there has been widened by at least 80 to 90%. So everything could be about twice as wide as it is right now on default. And yeah, I mean, imagine just how the checkpoints are at default, and this area, which is definitely made for rally racing, it necessitates just having these tools and using them, because otherwise you will be missing checkpoints more often than you hit them, most likely. Sorry. My throat is killing me these days. But yeah, enough about the whole checkpoint stuff and the event things. I think I talked about that at length. There are a few things there that would definitely be easier to implement than others, from what I can tell. But yeah, I hope we get a few more things. And yeah, when it comes to the, when it comes to the whole checkpoint editing, I think it would be a huge improvement, but I can also see that being kind of hard to make work, and it would require a lot of work in order to get it right. Especially if you want to do so at, well, basically by looking at the stuff directly, not just through the map, but actually maybe having like a drone camera or something flying around the track, seeing the closest checkpoints and then making adjustments to it. I think that's ultimately what would be required to make this work nicely. But yeah, that's definitely going to be far from easy, and it would be a basically complete overhaul to what we have right now. Anyways, let me know your opinions on all of that. But yeah, I think it speaks volumes that I just didn't find the interest to deal with the entire system as it is right now anymore. Even though I like track making, I like putting stuff together like that, but it's just not really fun right now with how tedious it can be. Anyways, finally moving on to the next topic. Since I've talked about the quarry already, let's quickly go through here. I overall like the limestone, and I mean as a good to transport. I'm still a bit in two minds about the concrete factory rework, but I mean overall it makes sense. It makes the thing a bit more complex, which is nice. The the quarry itself, I think, is pretty amazing. It's very good for rally racing. It is what it should be for that, and I think, yeah, just having a complex like this where you don't have to deal with cops or traffic and can just let loose, it's such a nice change of pace here. And the path design around here is also pretty good and allows for a lot of very interesting tracks. So definitely really happy with what we have over here now. I think it's a bit weird having the Neo in here. It kind of significant. It kind of signifies this being more like yeah, like a rally racing area instead of just an actual workplace. But I think the Neo should be available at a regular dealership, maybe in Gangyang or over here near Jeju City. It still being in the quarry seems a bit gimmicky. Same with the Lobo trailer being available over here in Gappa. Just seems so out of place there. But yeah, just transitioning to the Lobo and its trailer. Here are my two Lobos, one for racing, one for actual semi-truck work. I think I like it more for racing. Made my own livery here based on the famous Gulf livery, as you can tell. I would love to remove the fifth wheel, add a drag spoiler looking thing at the back. I think that would be amazing. But as it is right now, it's already pretty good. It's pretty fun. It has a lot of grip until suddenly you go over the limit and it completely screws you over, just loses a lot of speed and all of that. But it's making for an interesting race vehicle. And I think the last racing event we've seen with it wasn't going to be the only one. There are definitely a few plans around here to keep things going and add more in the future. Talking about it as a semi-truck is a whole nother business. First up, it has its own trailer, but it can also be used with the longer semi-trailers, just as a regular semi-truck. This trailer, however, can only be used with this vehicle because the fifth wheel is kind of far in the back and needs a vehicle that can completely fit beneath it. I think as a regular semi-truck, this thing is kinda okay. Nothing too crazy, but definitely usable. In combination with this trailer right here, and keep in mind this is all based on a real life prototype, that never made it into full production because of several issues, like low visibility from the cabin compared to one that's further up high, just general concerns with it being unsafe and all of that. But also, from what I can tell in-game here, the handling is not amazing. So, yeah, stuff like this, just completely jackknifing after a very surprising just breakout of the tractor here. Just it's weird. I think I have more fun using it in first person, partially because usually when you look at it like this, it looks more like the trailer itself has gained sentience, because it's very hard to notice the actual tractor beneath it. It's a neat concept, and I like it being implemented here because it kind of keeps a niche prototype alive, and I mean, it's a cool concept to be forgotten. Not good enough to be implemented into regular real-world implementations, but sure, for a game I think this is a really nice way to preserve the memory of it. But yeah, as a semi-truck combination, I don't really dig this. It's a bit weird how first of all, how slidey the trailer is. That's the problem with a lot of them. And I wish we just got better gripping tires here in general, but Jesus, this thing, it feels weird. I bought a second Globo to try and make a better semi-trucking setup. I don't think I have achieved much here yet. Also, this whole thing is very weird over height differences. I once made a delivery to the toy factory and I got stuck in the unloading bay there because it has the ramp going down and all of that. And even around just other slightly bumpy areas, it doesn't really work out too well. So it is a bit iffy. And again, the wheelbase, based on the real life version, it also has wheels that can turn, seem to be partially down to where the cap is. So if it's like, yeah, if it's going like this, where it's not really facing the same way as the trailer, and we get a lot of steering from the trailer wheels. I don't know. I think I might have preferred it if they just used the other wheelbase from the regular trailers, just keeping the stuff further to the back. I know that wouldn't have been accurate to the prototype, but this thing really isn't doing that much for me. Also, I saw something about maybe getting other trailers, but from what I've also heard is, well, there used to be a concept for 120 foot long container trailers, so for, oh no, not 120 foot, 60 foot. We don't want to overdo it, it would be twice as long. But yeah, being able to get free 20-foot trailers or, I mean, containers, or one 20-foot, one 40-foot would be amazing. But from what I've heard, that's not going to be in the game because, well, that never got built. It was just an on-paper prototype drawing, and therefore, I mean, you gotta draw the line at some point with what you implement and what not, I guess. But really, in my opinion, that would have been a much more worthwhile trailer for the game here, with how containers work. And this thing here, honestly, it doesn't really do much for me, apart from screwing me over. Again, I think in first person I would have an easier time driving this, because now I'm more focused on what the actual tractor is doing instead of the trailer. Since in third person, as I said, you can't really always see the tractor. The thing is, I'm not the biggest fan of just regular cargo transportation, so boxes, crates, pallets, what have you. And this is the main use and kind of the only use for this one. And yeah, bit of scraping over here. So I'm not really sure about this one here for that whole thing. The problem is, in a lot of cases, the different factories and warehouses, they don't really supply a lot of stuff. At least not in the quantities that would allow you to just fill up the entire trailer and take everything to the same location. And yeah, sparks are flying. I think there might be a better setup for the different suspension heights and all of that to minimize getting stuck and having scraping noises and effects going on. But right now as it is, yeah, it's a bit iffy. I mean, we have a grand total of 1 rice pellet over here. I could maybe just get more pellets over here and get more stuff produced, but it's just... it's not a lot. And yeah, you can easily get stuck on roads like this, so gotta be careful. I had it one time on one of the other farms where the terrain was just a tiny bit too uneven. So this is really not going too well. So I can see why this whole thing got scrapped at some point. It's not that great in a lot of ways. And even at the default heights, it's kinda... there is often a bit of scraping involved in order to get under the trailer to begin with. Yeah, this is... this is janky as all hell. Let's see if we can load something else up. We have 6 pallets A going to the toy factory, so that's not entirely full, but at least somewhat. Going to Oedo, there's a small box going over to that area as well. But yeah, I can't even fill up my entire trailer over here. I could have gone with a smaller trailer, made a bit more money that way. And that's exactly what I mean. It just doesn't really work the way you want it to. You need higher amounts of stuff, and I know I can make more deliveries over here and increase the amount of things I get through that. But that's work. And that requires me to just put in a lot of time and work into a lot of different warehouses around the place in order to even set it up so that I can make full use of this. A different type of trailer with another cargo would have definitely worked out better in my opinion. Also, I should likely go for refuel. Yeah, maybe... yeah, let's turn this thing around here. So while I still want to wait for maybe another trailer or so to hopefully drop, right now what we have here, I can't really say this is doing much for me. But yeah, I like that they put this in. I don't know what they would need to do in order to make this work a bit better. I think maybe making a longer landing gear so that it by default gets a bit more space to deal with. Getting the vehicle under it and all of that. And maybe also the connection could be extended in a way that maybe you get a bit more space between the trailer and the top of the Lobo, just so that the scraping doesn't happen that often. But this right now, it's minor things, but yeah, I can definitely see why this is really not a good vehicle to use in real life. Even in the game it has its disadvantages. But I think overall the Lobo itself works a lot better with just a regular trailer. And I'm stuck. Yep. My driven wheels don't touch the ground anymore. I can maybe try and wiggle it around, but yeah, this little incline at the at the driveway end, going back to the road. That already did me in, and it's just... can we make it? Yep, just about. I think this is a good showcase on why this whole thing has problems. Also, when you disconnect the trailer from the cabin, the whole thing can fall through, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I don't know. I heard from a few people that they really like this whole thing, and I can kind of get why in the end it might just not be for me. And that's totally fine. But I think some of the things like getting stuck so easily, getting the scraping all the time, it definitely has a few issues here and there. Let's hope there's no oncoming traffic past this little bump there. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm mixed on it. As with so many other things. Anything else in the update right now? I'm not really too sure about it. Oh god. Definitely got a bit spicy there. I didn't even look at what the trailer was doing, but definitely, it most likely was all sorts of weird and wrong. But yeah, I just want to do this delivery here, and I think that might be the end of the video after that. We are already running a bit long. I usually aim for like 30 minutes, and that seemed to be kinda how it goes here with my playthrough, with the regular videos that I'm doing. Also, I should mention my whole no teleporting playthrough that I've been starting shortly before the whole update thing came out. I mean, I always knew I would be going back to this character for that kind of stuff, because I just have more things to use in order to try all of that out. I want to go back there, and I actually still have a few videos. I think they are like maybe number 78, 79, or maybe even slightly before that. I'm not entirely sure right now. The thing is, I skipped them for the time being, because I didn't want to go back and forth between update and that playthrough. I want to eventually just go back to the playthrough, and then that's also when you're going to see those videos. So if in a few episodes time we will be jumping back a few numbers, that's going to be that, and from that point on I will be back on the other character. I still kinda want to, but also kinda not, do some tech stuff, and for that this character would be way better with all the vehicles. And I don't know. I mean, it's easy enough going back and forth between the characters, since that's all in the main menu. But I don't want to constantly jump back and forth even if I'm not making videos and stuff. So I'll have to see how I balance it out. I haven't forgotten about the no teleport run. I still want to do that. I'm still excited about it, but it's just it worked out a bit weirdly with how everything has been timed. I think it's better if we turn off to the right here. Maybe a bit early on the indicator. But yeah, for the time being, there is going to be another racing event on Sunday using the ultralight vehicles with inline-4 engines. So that's like the Coma, which I recently used to put, let's put a V12 in it. I might actually need to buy another one. The Defi, which is based on the Citroën 2CV and similar vehicles. So I think that's just the roster from the first racing event that I've done in this series. So that's gonna be quite interesting to go back to. And we'll just have to see how that goes. They are a bit twitchy, and the Coma, so the Mini Cooper thing, should be the most stable of all of them. So I might need to get another one of those and just build it up for an inline 4 engine. So something much more appropriate for that vehicle. But I'll have to see about that. Maybe I'll just use the Defi, I'm not entirely sure yet. The event has been announced on kinda short notice. It's already Friday and I'll be uploading and publishing this video today. Just to let people know of the discount on the game right now. And yeah, the event is going to be on Sunday, so not really much time to upgrade, tune and decal out a vehicle. I would usually enjoy it more if they gave us like half a week of heads up, but yeah, things don't always work out like that. But we'll have to see about it all. And yeah, now is the question, since we are going back to the toy factory, the time I got stuck in here. Did I drive in there forward or backward in order to unload? I mean, right now forward is definitely going to be yeah, more straightforward over here. I think I tried it backwards the other time around. I definitely did a lot of wiggling back and forth, and going in forwards is just going to be more straightforward. 6k for 6 pallets. I mean, we could have maybe gotten a few more. Oh look, I'm stuck again. Yeah, tow to nearest road, and you know what, just to prove a point, I'll be doing the same thing now backwards. I know the video is getting long already, but it is just what it is right now. So let's check this out. Okay, I think this is not a bad start. Alright. I just want to quickly park here. Oh. Yep, I'm stuck again. So it's kinda screwed up in both directions. The back of the trailer, I mean, the front axle of the trailer here is acting as a teeter-totter hinge now. The back is pulling down here, the front is pulling up, and that means that I don't get any traction or even, possibly not even any ground contact on the driven wheels anymore, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna stay here. So yeah, good job everybody. And yeah, I could actually do another delivery here, but no real sense in doing so because this episode is over. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your opinion on the entire update and all the different stuff in here. Again, I do like the Lobo, the whole Steinwinter concept vehicle and all of that. But man, it has some weird problems. I might need to check back in on the TWL Discord server and see if I can find whatever post was made about suspension setup to make this thing work a bit better. Because right now it's not doing it for me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, have a good one and bye bye.